The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We depropagandize the mainstream media. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. Yours and mine. Let's share. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is Fishing Shirt Friday. Today is Friday, September 27th, year of our Lord, 2024. Big news today. Lots of it. Let's get started. Hurricane Helene has weakened to a post-tropical hurricane, make that cyclone, as it swept through the southeast today. The storm still has wielded enough power to inflict historic flooding across multiple states. 33 are dead and millions are without power. Helene made landfall about 11:10 p.m. Eastern time. That happened last night near Perry, Florida, with 140 mile per hour winds. It was a Category 4. It's the first Category 4 storm to hit Florida's Big Bend region since records began in 1851. Overturned boats, flattened homes, a vista of floodwater several feet deep revealed at dawn across the storm-weary region. In Steinhatchee, a coastal town just miles from where Helene made landfall, John Kozowski drove a golf cart with his wife Jamie Lee over debris and around downed trees. Horrified at the damage, the town of some 500 people took on 9.63 feet of storm surge. That is a record. Lee said it was overwhelming. I just don't think it's sunk in. For several hours, the storm maintained hurricane strength as it pushed inland across Florida and into Georgia. By 5 p.m. Eastern time, the Weather Service said Helene had weakened to a post-tropical cyclone with sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. The storm crossed into Kentucky, was about 50 miles south-southeast of Louisville. Flood alerts urging people to seek higher ground were active across parts of the Carolinas and the Atlanta area, where communities have been inundated with up to 10 inches of rain, this according to the Weather Service. Hundreds of water rescues were underway across the southeast amid torrential rain and continued coastal flooding in western Florida. Meanwhile, more than 4.5 million utility customers were without power from Florida to Virginia. CBS had this report earlier, and let's take a look at it as she brings some of the statistics.
This map shows you millions across the southeast in the dark. Over expected, Helene's damage is leaving a lot of people without power right now. This map shows you millions across the southeast in the dark. Over 1 million customers are hoping to get their lights back on soon in Florida. So you can see here a majority of those are in the Big Bend area where Helene made landfall. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just started speaking moments ago with an update. Let's listen in.
Everyone is in agreement that power restoration as rapidly as possible really helps with the response and the recovery. You know, you've seen in other parts of the country just recently, people weeks without power for like a Category 1 storm. Here in Florida, we've worked really hard to not have that happen, and that has happened in the past, even here many years ago. So we've had great partners with FPL, TECO, and then Duke. And I think you saw Duke had amassed a lot of linemen in different parts of the state. I think they had Tropicana Field, massive numbers of folks. And then they had at the Villages, they had a big area there too. So we've worked closely with Melissa Satius, who's the head of Duke Energy here in Florida. I want to thank her for really leaning in and taking these storms very seriously and really wanting to provide really strong service for their customers, because you just take it for granted. You turn the light on, you get the charge. But when times like this happen and you can get power on quickly, that really is something that I think a lot of people appreciate.
Yeah, that was earlier today, and that was Ron DeSantis talking a little bit about how the power restoration efforts are already underway in Florida. So here are some developments from USA Today. Tornado warnings active across eastern North Carolina and southern Virginia today. And this afternoon, Helene pushed further inland, according to the Weather Service. Flash flood and tropical storm warnings still active in northeast Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and Virginia. Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia told reporters 115 structures in the southern Georgia city of Valdosta had been heavily damaged by Helene's high winds. Crews were responding to rescue people trapped inside. Widespread flooding, a mudslide shut down a long stretch of Interstate 40 this afternoon, extending between Tennessee and North Carolina. Helene is tied as the 14th most powerful hurricane to hit anywhere in the U.S. since records have been kept, and the 7th most powerful storm to slam into Florida, according to National Hurricane Center data. Federal Emergency Management Agency teams on the ground in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. President Joe Biden approved emergency declarations for all 5 states ahead of Helene's landfall in anticipation of the storm's sprawling impact. More than 900 U.S. air flights were canceled. More than 3,300 flights were delayed by the storm this afternoon, according to FlightAware, a flight tracking website. Helene wrecked dozens of homes in Florida. Helene was doing that damage across Horseshoe Beach, a tiny beach town and fishing destination in the Florida Big Bend area that has been hit by several hurricanes in recent years. Some houses were shoved off their concrete footings. Others had their roofs flayed off. The wind and water also tumbled docks into land, tore down chain link fences, and snapped telephone poles. Bill and Debbie Dotson erected a tent beneath their home. This happened today, where they planned to camp after the storm ripped their staircases away, blocking access to the otherwise undamaged house roughly 20 feet off the ground. Helene was their 4th hurricane since moving to the coastal town in 2021. We are grateful our house is still standing, said Debbie Dotson, who's 63. Like many homes in Horseshoe Beach, theirs is built atop concrete footings to keep them out of floodwaters. Idalius destroyed about 40 houses, and the Dotsons said they thought this storm damage was more impactful than that original storm. Bill Dotson, who's 67, said he gauged the floodwaters at around 15 feet based on the damage to the top of his concrete pilings. Last year, Idalia destroyed one staircase, damaged another. These are on the outside of the home, not inside. A local contractor had only recently finished rebuilding both sets for around $15,000. We came out here and saw this beauty, and we wanted to go fishing in our retirement. Then we had discussions about hurricanes, but you never imagine something like this. You just don't. A dam failure in Tennessee is prompting emergency evacuations. That turned out to be a false alarm. A reported catastrophic dam failure that triggered an emergency evacuation for the entire downtown area of Newport, Tennessee this afternoon was a false alarm, according to Tennessee Emergency Management. Cook County officials urged all residents to flee the area around 3 this afternoon after reports that Walters Dam had failed. State emergency management officials said around 4:40 p.m. that Duke Energy, which owns and operates the dam, informed them it was still standing. Quote, there is no longer a risk of an imminent dam failure for the Walters Dam on the Pigeon River. This according to the National Weather Service in Morristown, confirming on X at 4:45. Major flooding continues, however. Continue to heed evacuation orders from local emergency management and law enforcement. Do not drive into flooded or closed roads. There was an amazingly dramatic circumstance that was reported later today that involved a Fox weather reporter. We'll have that for you coming up in just a couple of moments. The dam scare comes as nearby rivers continue to rise from the effects of Helene. The Pigeon River at Newport rose nearly 3 times its flood stage this afternoon. It's expected to crest at 23 feet before receding later this evening. The French Broad at Newport was expected to reach more than double its flood stage by the end of the day. By 1:45 p.m., it had reached over 17 feet, with another 6 feet expected. We have nothing. A Florida home was washed away by Helene. From the post she saw on Facebook about her Steinhatchee neighborhood, Lynn Paget knew the damage might be dire at the house she's called home for 41 of her 48 years. She just didn't expect it would not be where she had left it yesterday. The house was located in a riverside neighborhood alongside other homes. Helene's surge water pushed it off its foundation, relocated it to the edge of a wooded area just down the way. This is the 4th time the river has flooded the house, and the first time it's washed my house away, she said, chuckling, as she sat in her car with 5 dachshunds and a cat. Another cat, Muffin, had climbed up a tree in fright. She's not laughing because it's funny. Not only does the Jiffy Food Stop manager's home not have flood insurance, but it's not insured for wind either. The Jiffy store she works at in Steinhatchee is flooded out too. She said she was waiting in her car hoping the water would go down enough so that she could get to her house where she lived with her husband, her father, who uses a wheelchair, and her 18-year-old son. Laugh, cry, I don't know what to do. We have nothing. Dozens were rescued from the roof of a hospital engulfed by floodwater. More than 50 patients and staff were rescued after being stranded at a hospital on the rooftop as floodwaters quickly rose at Unicoi Hospital in Irwin, Tennessee. This happened this afternoon, according to Senator Bill Hagerty. Everyone has been rescued safely from the roof of the Unicoi County Hospital in Irwin. More trouble on the horizon for East Tennessee communities. Please stay safe, and thank you for your prayers. Floodwaters from the rapidly rising Nolichucky River and high winds prevented ambulances, rescue boats, even helicopters from reaching the hospital earlier. This, according to a statement from Ballad Health. The hospital has been engulfed by extremely dangerous and rapidly moving water. The situation of the hospital is very dangerous, according to the statement. Ballad Health said that around 12:30 p.m., 54 people were on the roof, 7 were in rescue boats. The water also intruded into the hospital, according to the statement. The rescue was complete by 4:15 this afternoon, according to the Hagerty Post. Virginia State Police said aviation units were helping with rescues and posted a photo on social media showing the building surrounded by high floodwaters. Let me see if I can bring that picture to you here on the Wells Report as we continue our reporting on Hurricane Helene. So you can see this here as this entire hospital complex was indeed engulfed by water. We don't know the damage to the hospital at this particular moment, but we will keep our eyes on it and let you know more when we have more to report. Big Bend residents maintain their resolve to build back after Helene. Her Riverside home destroyed. 8 of the 24 Riverside residential units that she owns were flooded. The electrical systems powering the Riverside Marina building may have been fritzed. Interesting writing there. And still, Danielle Norwood, 59 years of age, owner of the Sea Hag Marina that fronts the Steinhatchee River, was smiling somehow as she pointed to a concrete floor that had crumbled. I think I'm stunned at this point. I can't release a lot of emotions. And then she paused. We'll build back. We're those kinds of people. The build back is familiar territory for Norwood. Last year's Hurricane Idalia destroyed $1 million worth of docks and flooding, shorted out the building's electrical system. To avoid a repeat, Norwood moved the electrical system to a second floor in the building, but Helene's nearly 10-foot storm surge appeared to have shorted it out again. On the floor below, a wooden bar was still standing. However, the TVs above it had a line across the screen showing how far the water had risen. The good news for Norwood is that Helene's fury spared the feral cats who prowled the marina grounds and the docks that were so badly torn up by Hurricane Idalia. 4.5 million homes and businesses across the eastern U.S. are in the dark this afternoon as Helene pummeled the region with powerful winds and heavy rain. I was in touch with my son Mitchell today. Wasn't able to reach him on his cell phone, but we did have text capability. He said he was sitting in the dark waiting for a chance to cook some dinner. That is the story as we bring you Hurricane Helene. More coming up in just a couple of moments on the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. My day started in the wee hours of the morning. And I turned on Fox News, and Fox and Friends happened to be talking with Fox Weather Channel meteorologist Bob Van Dillen. In the middle of his report, he noted a woman crying out in panic in a flooded car near where he was doing his report. He stopped reporting and he said, I'm going to go take care of this. Waded into chest-high water, got the woman out of her car, and rescued her. Here is how it looked on the Weather Channel sometime after the rescue. But this is truly wonderful, and it's truly inspiring. And take a look on the Wells Report.
We put her in the car. She was cold. I gave her my shirt. Her husband's going to pick her up. The fire truck came. They're good. Everyone's good. So let's get back to it. It was this car right over there.
Okay. We're watching.
Do not go. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
We're still
don't go
watching
down this
video.
way.
By the way, if you're just joining us, this is video
Don't
from
go that
earlier.
way.
You're hearing Bob's live mic because, of course, this is an active situation. But you're watching video of what happened. Now we're back live. So, Bob, we have your
Is
live
that your
camera.
ride right there? Okay. Yeah. You can keep the shirt. It's all good.
It must be her husband.
All right,
He said her husband was coming.
No, it's yeah. So here you go, you guys. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
No, that's okay. Take your
we're good.
time, Bob. For viewers that are just joining
Fire
us,
department's gone.
we'll give Bob a second to catch his breath. For viewers that are just
we're
joining
good.
us,
We're
Bob
good.
literally just saved a woman from flood water. She drove into it. Bob, now that you've sort of had a second, because this is a very active situation, you have first responders. Bob, we're going to pass it
Reunited.
off to you.
Reunited. There you go. Yeah, you guys reunited. All right, good. You're good. You good? Yeah. Don't. Yeah, man. Hey, absolutely. Hey, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Of course. Anytime. I'll do it again. Don't go that way. Go this way. All right.
So I don't know what's going on there.
It's flooded out. It was up to my chest. So, and I dragged her out, but she's fine. She's just cold. Get her a blanket. Yeah, you can keep the shirt. Nah, keep it. It's all yours. All right. So this is what's going on, you guys. This is the Peachtree Creek, and we had the video before of all the rescues that were going on. It's about a mile down the way. 60 people rescued from that apartment complex. It's a Peachtree Park apartment complex. And Craig, you like this. 12 pets were also rescued too. So yeah, see you guys later. Hey, be safe, all right? Yeah. So, hold on. Say? Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, thank you.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll do it again. Hey, good luck.
Yeah. So from time to time, when you're covering the news, you become the news because you do something really brilliant and really good. Bob Van Dillen of Fox Weather Channel, seeing that someone in the middle of a report was about to get submerged in her car, waited out, got her out of her car. It wasn't easy because water pressure was holding the door closed. Her window was rolled up. She finally unrolled the window that flooded the car to the point where the door could be opened. And Bob Van Dillen had her unbuckle her seatbelt and carried her out of the water. That person that you saw there in his car was that woman's husband. And that was just a very, very good thing. Congratulations to Bob Van Dillen being called a hero tonight, and certainly by the woman and her husband as they were reunited live on television on the Weather Channel that Fox News runs. And that was just a very good, feel-good story out of a very serious storm that did amazing damage and cost the lives of some 33 people. That number may likely increase. Want to say hello to Steve Zimmerman, who is watching us from Wisconsin. He is a great friend of mine, a former brother in the Texas State Guard. Steve, great to see you, my friend. Also want to say hi to Pep, who's watching from Montana. When we say from north to south, from coast to coast and around the world, we're not kidding. We've got a lot of people watching this broadcast everywhere, and we sincerely appreciate the fact that you are indeed doing so. Let's see what else is going on. The Texan has joined us. I guess he had to run. Let's see what else. By the way, Pep asks, can I broadcast on Truth Social yet? I don't know. Perhaps that could be a thing that we'll work on. Back with more in a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172 is our telephone number. As you may know, Kamala Harris visited the border, and she is currently speaking, and we're going to join some of her remarks because, you know, it's news. and we do cover the news. And like I said, Kamala Harris is speaking, so let's join that broadcast in progress. Let me get that to you here. This was something that just popped up on my phone, so let's take a look.
I have met with so many of our dreamers throughout my career. They who have grown up in the United States, were educated here, pay taxes here, serve in our military, and contribute to our communities every day. They are American in every way. But still, they do not have an earned pathway to citizenship. And this problem has gone unsolved at this point now for decades. The same goes for farm workers who ensure that we have food on our tables and who sustain our agricultural industry. And they too have been in legal limbo for years because politicians have refused to come together to fix our broken immigration system. Well, as president, I will put politics aside to fix our immigration system and find solutions to problems which have persisted for far too long. For far too long, we have all known this is not working as it can and as it should. And so, as I said at the beginning, these issues are highly consequential for our nation. And the contrast in this election is clear. It is a choice between common sense solutions and the same old political games. In the 4 years that Donald Trump was president, he did nothing to fix our broken immigration system. He did not solve the shortage of immigration judges. He did not solve the shortage of border agents. He did not create lawful pathways into our nation. He did nothing to address an outdated asylum system and did not work with other governments in our hemisphere to deal with what clearly is also a regional challenge. As overdoses went up during his presidency, he fought to slash funding for the fight against fentanyl. And what did he do instead? Well, let's talk about that. He separated families. He ripped toddlers out of their mothers' arms, put children in cages, and tried to end protections for dreamers. He made the challenges at the border worse. And he is still fanning the flames of fear and division.
All right, so that's Kamala Harris. We will cover more of that story a little bit later on, including the release of some incredibly damaging information regarding criminals from other countries that have crossed the southern border. And some of those things that she just said will have counterpoint in just a few minutes here on the Wells Report. Meanwhile, around the world, the Israeli Defense Forces targeted Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in a precise strike today. This on the central headquarters of Hezbollah in Beirut, Lebanon. This from Fox News. This was an amazing and very, very destructive attack that may have killed the leader of Hezbollah. We don't know yet. Still too early to tell. And we'll have more about that if that pops up. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the headquarters were intentionally built in the heart of Dahia in Beirut under residential buildings as part of Hezbollah's strategy of using the Lebanese people as human shields. At least 2 people were killed, dozens were wounded, according to Lebanon's health ministry. Video and images showed plumes of smoke rising over Beirut following the airstrikes. Witnesses said they heard multiple explosions that were extremely loud and extremely powerful. Trey Yingst is someone who has been covering this story. He does a brilliant job. Certainly some of the best war correspondents I have ever seen. He filed this report earlier today.
Massive breaking news right now out of the Middle East. Fox News has learned that the Israeli military targeted the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, in the suburbs of Beirut. A massive explosion was reported there this hour. Israeli fighter jets overhead. We are learning this information in real time. It is unclear if the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, was killed in the strike. But again, the latest information that we have, Fox News has learned that Hassan Nasrallah was the target of this large strike in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Nasrallah is at the top of the food chain for this Iran-backed group, responsible for firing thousands of rockets into northern and central Israel since October 8th. He's a man who took over for Hezbollah leadership in 1992 and has led the organization since. You might remember the Second Lebanon War back in 2006. Following that 31-day conflict, Nasrallah said, had he known the destruction that would come to Lebanon, he would not have launched the war that took place then. If this is confirmed and the death of Nasrallah is confirmed here in the Middle East, it is an unprecedented moment. And remember what it follows. It follows a speech earlier today by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the UN General Assembly, and also a visit by Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to troops in the northern part of this country who are staging for the possibility of a ground operation into southern Lebanon. So right now we are waiting to gather more details. You can see right there, there is smoke rising, and I believe that's a skyline shot from Beirut following this massive strike. Journalists on the ground in the Lebanese capital report hearing multiple explosions. And Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, the top spokesman for the Israeli military, said publicly that the target of this strike was the command and control center underneath a building in the Lebanese capital. And again, Fox News has learned at this hour that the target of the strike was Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah.
All right, so that is Trey Yingst doing the great work that he does. Speaking of Nasrallah, he had a lot to say about this, and some of that, yeah. And here we have it here. Security forces in Lebanon said the attack targeted an area where top Hezbollah officials are usually based. It was the heaviest attack in Beirut in almost a year of conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. This is Hagari's statement, quote, on October 8th, Hezbollah started attacking Israel after almost a year of Hezbollah firing rockets, missiles, and suicide drones at Israeli civilians. After more than a year of Israel warning the world and telling them Hezbollah must be stopped, Israel is doing what every sovereign state in the world would do if they had a terror organization that seeks their destruction on the border, taking the necessary action to protect our people so that Israeli families can leave their homes safely and securely. Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said the United States was not involved in this operation, had no advanced warning of it. Minister Yoav Gallant spoke with Secretary Austin as the operation was already underway, said Singh. The operation happened within the last few hours. We are still assessing the event. The Pentagon also declined to speculate on whether the Hezbollah leader was still alive. A White House spokesman said that President Biden has been briefed on the operation. The strikes hit Beirut shortly after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to continue the Israeli attacks on Iranian-backed fighters in Lebanon in a closely watched United Nations speech, as hopes faded for a ceasefire that was a proposal for a 21-day ceasefire that could head off an all-out regional war. Netanyahu will cut short his stay in the U.S. and departed for Israel as we speak, according to Fox News sources. This is understood to be a rare move by the Israeli Prime Minister, as Shabbat is a day of rest for Jews. The fighting between Israel and Hezbollah has drastically escalated over the last month, as the Israeli Defense Forces had been targeting the terror network hotspots and military storage units, all of which are strategically embedded within civilian villages. That was Fox News' latest on this. We also have live updates. This from CNN. The Israeli military continues to strike southern Beirut, according to a CNN team in the Lebanese capital, more than an hour after the Israeli Defense Force began striking buildings allegedly with Hezbollah missiles inside them. Airstrikes continue to hit the Danyan neighborhood in southern Beirut. Large flashes could be seen in southern Beirut. The thuds of impacting Israeli missiles are echoing throughout the capital. That was 1 hour and 17 minutes ago. 31 minutes ago, Hezbollah denied its weapons were being stored in civilian buildings targeted by Israeli strikes on the Danya area of southern Beirut. Quote, the claims made by the enemy regarding the presence of weapons in the bombed civilians' buildings are completely false, Hezbollah said in its first official comment on the airstrikes. Explosions continue to rock the Lebanese capital early this morning. That's Saturday, local time. The Israeli Defense Force previously said it was conducting targeted strikes on weapons belonging to the Hezbollah terror organization that were stored beneath civilian buildings and told residents to evacuate certain areas. The latest strikes come hours after initial Israeli attack on what it said was Hezbollah's headquarters in Beirut today. The operation flattened several buildings in a densely populated area, killing at least 6 people and wounding dozens of others, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry. Rescuers are still searching for survivors and any further victims, warning the current death toll is not final. And this from 26 minutes ago, the Israeli military said it has killed Hezbollah commanders in the Lebanese strike today. The Israeli military said it killed Hezbollah commanders. The IAF, the Israeli Air Force, struck and eliminated the terrorist Muhammad Ali Ismail, the commander of the Hezbollah missile unit in southern Lebanon, and his deputy, the terrorist Hassan Ahmad Ismail. This according to the Israeli Defense Forces in the early hours of Saturday local time. Additional Hezbollah commanders and operatives were eliminated alongside them. The IDF said that Muhammad Ali Ismail was responsible for directing attacks against Israel, including the launch of surface-to-air missiles on Wednesday. Hezbollah has not confirmed the deaths of these figures. Israel strikes hit Lebanon throughout Friday, including the southern suburbs of Beirut, where the IDF said it was conducting targeted strikes on Hezbollah weapons stored beneath civilian buildings. Let's see, going back a little bit further, Beirut authorities are urging displaced people to seek shelter. A crisis management center in Beirut is urging displaced people that it contacted for immediate assistance in finding shelter. The government-run crisis management room published 2 phone numbers for those seeking shelter to call in a statement by the state-run news agency NNA. The move comes just after the Israeli military warned residents of several neighborhoods in southern Beirut to evacuate, and then began striking buildings in the area it alleged were being used to store Hezbollah missiles. The Lebanese government said tens of thousands of people have been displaced due to recent fighting at its southern border with Israel. President Biden has been briefed several times today by his national security team following a series of Israeli airstrikes targeting Hezbollah in Beirut. An official told reporters traveling with President Biden in Delaware. President Biden ordered the Pentagon to look at U.S. force postures in the region and adjust as necessary to support U.S. objectives, according to the official, adding the president was also directing embassies to take appropriate protective measures. He will continue to receive regular updates. Speaking of U.S. forces, 3 U.S. warships came under attack today off the coast of Yemen by Iran-backed Houthi rebels who have disrupted commercial shipping in the region, but fortunately no one was hurt. The warships shot down nearly 24 incoming missiles and drones while transiting a narrow entrance into the Red Sea. None of the vessels were hit. No sailors on board were hurt, according to a U.S. official speaking with Fox News. The USS Stockdale and USS Spruance, along with a littoral combat ship, the USS Indianapolis, were transiting the Bab el-Mandab Strait when the naval warships came under attack from a barrage of incoming ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. We did see a complex attack launched from the Houthis that ranged from cruise missiles and waves, or in waves, according to Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh. My understanding is those were engaged, shot down, or failed. The Stockdale and Spruance are part of the USS Abraham Lincoln Aircraft Carrier Strike Group that recently arrived in the Middle East from the Pacific. U.S. forces have struck back at Houthi militants on multiple occasions for nearly a year. The rebel group has routinely attacked commercial and military vessels at sea over Israel's war against Hamas. The number of commercial ships passing through the Red Sea has dropped by 90% since the attacks began after the October 7th, 2023 massacre in Israel. Since then, U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria have come under attack dozens of times. In January, 3 American soldiers were killed in the country of Jordan. That is the very latest coming out of the Middle East, and things are getting extremely spicy. More coming up in a moment on the Wells Report.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells on a big news day. Fishing Shirt Friday in progress. Thanks very much for joining us. State and local law enforcement told lawmakers yesterday about the Secret Service failure to secure the area around the rally site, where former President Donald Trump was shot in an attempted assassination in Pennsylvania in July. There was no plan to secure the building where the gunman was positioned with a clear line of sight to the location where Trump would speak, according to the officials, in their first meeting of a congressional task force investigating the shooting. Secret Service officials allowed Trump to take the stage, even as local police were flagging concerns about a suspicious person. Quote, "It was not a single mistake that allowed Thomas Matthew Crooks to outmaneuver one of the country's most elite group of security professionals," said Task Force Chairman Mike Kelly. He is the Republican from Pennsylvania. Instead, the Secret Service failed to make a cohesive plan for the law enforcement partners, did not close down the grounds near the rally site, did not communicate effectively, even in moments of crisis, according to him. Altogether, these failures led to a dysfunctional security situation that took the life of Corey Comparatori, injured 2 others, and nearly claimed the former president's life. President Trump was grazed by a bullet that took a piece of his right ear off in the attack, and Pennsylvania firefighter Corey Comparatore was killed as he tried to shield his family from the attack. 2 other men were injured. The hearing comes a day after the Senate committee released its investigative report into the July assassination attempt. Those findings from the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee also said the Secret Service had no plan to secure the buildings where crooks took aim. It also showed there was no clear chain of command and other security lapses at the event. The congressional hearing comes after a likely second assassination attempt against the former president earlier this month at his golf club in Florida. This, by the way, is reported by USA Today. Indeed, they leave out, at least at this particular moment in this reporting, that the gunman of the Florida attack has been charged with attempted assassination of a U.S. president. So why they left that out, I don't have any idea. Edward Lentz, a commander with the Butler County Emergency Services Unit, said his unit was not asked by Secret Service officials leading security to lock down the building where the shooter perched or the perimeter of the area. Instead, police snipers looked into the crowd where attendees had already been screened. Still, a local police officer spotted several suspicious people near the building, relayed that information to patrol officers posted near the perimeter of the rally site, said Lentz. Another sniper took a photo of the man using a rangefinder, pointing toward the stage, and shared it with state police, the county sheriff's office, local police, and the Secret Service. The information made it possible for the sniper to quickly identify and take out the shooter once the shooting began, said Lentz. However, lawmakers questioned why Trump was allowed to take the stage in the first place. Communication between the Secret Service and local and state partners was disjointed and unclear, said Ranking Member Representative Jason Crow of Colorado. The Secret Service must do better. Local police did not have a radio connection with the Secret Service and were scrambling to try to communicate with them in the lead up to the shooting, according to area officials. Task Force member Representative Glenn Ivey, who is a Democrat from Maryland, characterized the communication strategy as making it up as you go along. That's a quote. Patrick Sullivan, a retired former Secret Service agent, said the security failures that have come to light are shocking and infuriating. He argued the Secret Service should have more authority to demand information from other law enforcement officials. Drew Blasco, an officer with the Butler Township Police Department, John Harold, a lieutenant with the Pennsylvania State Police, and Allegheny County Medical Examiner Ariel Goldschmidt also testified to the committee. The hearing came days after Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe released a 5-page interim report on the investigation that also cited significant agency failures. Quote, "This was a failure on the part of the United States Secret Service. It's important that we hold ourselves to account for the failures of July 13th and that we use the lessons learned to make sure we do not have another failure like this again." The July shooting kicked off intense scrutiny of the agency. Former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigned from her post amid withering criticism from bipartisan lawmakers at a House Oversight Committee hearing, during which she admitted the July 13th shooting was the biggest security failure in decades for the agencies. Some lawmakers have argued the agency is understaffed and under-resourced, which contributed in part to the security lapses in July. Congress approved $231 million in additional funding for the Secret Service in a stopgap funding measure that was approved earlier this week. And so that is the very latest from the assassination attempts. This from July 13th. We still haven't heard much from the later one, and we'll have more about that when it becomes available to us. The important thing to keep in mind is that we keep hearing the same story being told over and over and over again, where local police, state police had trouble interacting with the Secret Service. And the idea that a Democrat representative would say that the communication strategy, the entire strategy of the security for the event, was being made up as they went along, that is shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And it's absolutely inexcusable. And once again, do we have protection for our presidents? I'm not exactly sure. Are you? There are a lot of people that the Secret Service protects. Now, there has been some other news that Donald Trump is going to have to take a Wisconsin rally indoors because the Secret Service still doesn't have the resources necessary because they are protecting a whole bunch of dignitaries from around the world at the United Nations General Assembly. So that is the very latest as we bring you the news on this 27th day of September, year of our Lord 2024. Coming up in just a couple of moments, Vice President Harris finally makes a visit to the southern border. More on that in a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA. the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. Your opinion, my opinion, equally valuable. Let's share. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. It is Friday. Fishing Shirt Friday. I'm wearing my fishing shirt. Although it was cool enough in Texas where, wardrobe could have not included a fishing shirt. It's been so hot over the summer that we all just about melted. And these shirts, well, they're my salvation. Magellan. Okay, Magellan shirts. By the way, in case you're wondering, in my new job, my new day job, there are a lot of guys that are wearing Magellan fishing shirts. I mean, and this is a place where you'd expect people to be wearing more bougie fishing shirts. But no, just basic fishing shirts. They're nice. They're not expensive. They're comfortable. And they're required. So we've been talking about Hurricane Helene. We did so last hour. And my son lives in Gastonia, which is a town that's slightly south of Charlotte, North Carolina, in the thick of the storm that charged through the southeast. Mitchell, welcome to the Wells Report. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So is this the first time you've been on this broadcast?
No, I think I've been on it a couple times, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a long time. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of weather you experienced today. How was Helene in Gastonia?
Well, so it started last night, actually. And it was just a constant, downpour. There was some decent gusts of wind where we were at, probably 50 to 60 miles an hour is what I was, when I was checking it. We were definitely one of the fortunate ones. We didn't have any fallen trees, but, in our area, there were, so many down power lines. I was looking at it. I was tracking it all day. They were out of the 31,000 customers, I guess is what they referred to it. 22,000, 23,000 were reporting out of power in our area, in our county. And the rain was just so constant, and it wasn't even just like a drizzle. It was just a straight up downpour, pretty much all the way out till it was all night. And then I think it started to slow down around 11 a.m. where we were at. and then I think the west side of the state got the worst of it. I've heard some pretty rough things. I think all the roads were closed. They actually weren't even letting anybody in. But it was, once the rain kind of stopped, like I said, around 11, it started to get a little bit better, but we had lost power by like 8:30 in the morning. There were so many, like I said, there's so many down power lines. There's a lot of trees that fall on roads and people's houses. I went out one time to get some ice and charcoal so that we could have some sort of a hot meal and try to keep as much food fresh as possible. And it was the one grocery store that was open in the area was just packed, and I was just watching people just pretty much clear the shelves where all the water was. There was almost no bags of ice left when I was there. And we're talking about, those ice coolers you see in grocery stores are like 8 feet tall by 8 feet wide, and they just like, those are pretty much gone. And then, yeah, like I said, it was just, for us, it was just a lot of rain. I think, we had like my garage had flooded a decent amount. I don't think I have any lasting damage, but I probably spent a good hour and a half just trying to get as much water out of there as possible once the rain stopped. But yeah, at least where I was at, it's probably the most rain I've seen in quite a long time. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. In case your viewers your listeners are wondering, I'm 34. So
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the attitude of your neighbors in the grocery stores. Was there pretty much calm, cordiality, etc.?
Yeah, I think as much as you could hope for. People can. I mean, I've like I said, I've been here a long time, and I think people were for random thunderstorms. I think people were a little bit more chaotic, but I think when I went there, it didn't seem out of control. You could tell people were definitely, probably more frustrated than anything because the power had been out just all over the county. And I guess, but as far as like, I didn't really see much, like I said, I wouldn't necessarily say it was calm because, like I said, people were very, trying to get as much as they could out of there because they didn't know how long the power was going to last or was going to be out. The power company couldn't really give any updates at that point. So, but I think it was probably as good as you could ask for because considering, past events, past storms, I feel like it was probably more chaotic then than it was now. So.
Mitchell Christopher Wells, my third son, living in Gastonia, North Carolina, has lived through the difficulties of now tropical cyclone Helene. Son, talk to me a little bit about. You have a wonderful house with really good drainage. You've got a creek in your backyard, and you're sitting on kind of a hill. So how big did that creek get with all the rain?
Well, I can tell you that, technically it is a creek, but that thing is usually bone dry year round, and it looked like a small river, like a small outlet of the Catawba River. When I look back out there, and it runs through the neighbors' yards behind me, and it was a pretty fast flow too. So you just, that right in and of itself knew like this was a lot of rain.
Yeah. Well, Mitchell, I'm glad that you're safe, and I'm glad the kids are safe, and I'm glad that Brittany is safe, and God bless you and yours and the cleanup. And thanks very much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. That is my son, Mitchell, from Gastonia, North Carolina, joining us on the Wells Report to tell us a little bit about what his experiences were like. 12 hours without power. And for those of us who lived through something called Snowmageddon a few years ago in February, we spent a lot of time without power, and that is no fun whatsoever. And a lot of people spent a lot of time in grocery stores trying to get whatever they needed if they could get out, and that was no easy feat. And also in my youth, I was right next to the Davidson River that flooded once, and we had to move out of our house and stayed with friends. And that's where my absolute insistence on living outside the floodplain. As a matter of fact, this house is outside the floodplain, and we know that's true because we've had some very serious rain here as well, especially during the hurricanes that come off the Gulf of Mexico and charge through Texas. Hurricane Harvey being the most recent one that showed us just exactly how big and frightening these storms are. It's an incredible experience, and I hope it's one you never have to deal with, ever. And so a lot of people, real stories about Hurricane Helene, and we'll have more of those in the coming days. Again, my thanks to Mitchell Christopher Wells, who's my third son. I want to say thanks for him taking the time as he begins to clean up and take care of the floodwaters in his garage, and so on and so on. So there has been some news involving Vice President Harris. She made a first border visit today, and the backlash from that border visit, which happened in Arizona, was fast and it was partisan. From Fox News, Vice President Kamala Harris's battleground border state visit is being panned by House Republicans, whose districts represent the front lines of the current migrant crisis. At issue at Harris' campaign stop in Douglas, a border town in the key state of Arizona, that comes less than 6 weeks before voters head to the polls to pick the next president. Quote, "I've been consistent in my willingness to work with anyone on either side of the aisle to address the border," said Representative Juan Kiscomani, who is a Republican from Arizona. However, Vice President's visit to the border smells like nothing more than a photo op to try to score some political points. Kiscomani is one of the several GOP lawmakers from border districts who are accusing Harris of caring more about optics than results. They have long blamed the Biden administration for the record number of illegal border crossings since the Democrats took office, and Harris's handling of the border is one of the Republicans' most significant border cudgels against her. For 3.5 years, Vice President Harris has been in a position to address the crisis, but instead she has sought to ignore it, said Kiscomani. As a result, border districts like mine have suffered under her lack of leadership. Representative Darrell Issa, the Republican from California, whose San Diego anchored district includes about 100 miles of the U.S.-Mexico border, suggested the border crisis is a feature, not a flaw, of the administration's policies. What followed? America's deadliest drug crisis ever, the unprecedented trafficking of women and children, and 10 million illegals allowed to enter the country and stay. Kamala Harris owes America an apology, not a photo op. Representative Monica De La Cruz of Texas, also a Republican, told Fox News she believes Harris's trip is purely about playing politics. Quote, "It's no coincidence this last-minute visit comes as polls show that Harris is struggling in Arizona. Despite the photo op, the fact remains under Harris's watch, we faced an unprecedented border crisis, a stark contrast to the secure border that we had under President Trump." Earlier this afternoon, earlier on this broadcast, we played some live commentary from Kamala Harris, who mentioned the fentanyl crisis, which was curious because during the Biden administration, well over 250,000 Americans have died from fentanyl poisoning. And that particular administration and the record of their intercession against fentanyl is plain, and it is ineffective. And so once again, as she was speaking, she talked about how how President Trump had failed to address the immigration issue, talking about immigration judges, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you need to keep in mind that when it comes down to border intercession from the Biden administration, any funding that heads toward the border is not for security. It is for the processing of people coming across the border, which is a completely different issue. It's not something that you should be doing. You should be doing whatever is necessary to close the border, especially in light of over 250,000 American fentanyl deaths since the Biden administration took power. There is more. There is a report from Fox News from the Pinal County Sheriff, who is talking about some striking illegal migrant criminal statistics that also came out today, the very day that Kamala Harris visited the border. More about that is coming up in just a couple of moments as we unfurl the news for you on the Wells Report. Back with more in a second.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Kamala Harris makes it to the southern border. between the United States and Mexico in Arizona. At the same time, Immigration and Customs Enforcement released a report regarding the actual number of criminals that have crossed into the United States, and that data was incredibly damaging. Tens of thousands, this from Fox News, it's biased. Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants with sex offenses and homicide convictions are on the loose in the streets, according to Immigration and Customs Enforcement data provided to lawmakers. The agency provided data to Representative Tony Gonzalez of Texas. He's a Republican, about the national data for illegal immigrants with criminal charges or convictions. The data as of July 2024 is broken down by those in detention and those who are not in detention, known as the non-detained docket. The non-detained docket includes illegal immigrants who have final orders of removal or are going through removal proceedings but are not detained in ICE custody. There are currently more than 7 million people on that docket. The data says among those not in detention, there are 425,431 convicted criminals and 222,141 with pending criminal charges. Those include 62,231 convicted of assault, 14,301 convicted of burglary, 56,533 with drug convictions, 13,099 convicted of homicide. An additional 2,521 have kidnapping convictions, and 15,811 have sexual assault convictions. There are an additional 1,845 with pending homicide charges, 42,915 with assault charges, 3,266 with burglary charges, and 4,250 with assault charges. As of July 21st, 2024, there were 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories on ICE's national docket, 13,099 criminally convicted murderers, said Gonzalez in a statement. Americans deserve to be safe in our own communities. In a statement accompanying the letter, ICE took aim at so-called sanctuary cities, which refused to cooperate with federal law enforcement in deporting illegal immigrant criminals. ICE recognizes some jurisdictions are concerned that cooperating with federal immigration officials will erode trust with immigrant communities and make it harder for local law enforcement to serve those populations. However, sanctuary policies can end up shielding dangerous criminals who often victimize those same communities, it said. It also stressed the DHS efforts to remove illegal immigrants. From mid-May 2023 through the end of July 2024, DHS removed or returned more than 893,600 individuals, including more than 138,300 individuals in family units. The majority of all individuals encountered at the southern border over the past 3 years have been removed, returned, or expelled. As we said, we took some live commentary from Kamala Harris after her border visit today. And in that, she talked about how President Donald Trump had essentially taken children out of the arms of their families. What was not discussed, of course, were the 325,000 some odd children that are lost, simply lost in the United States. Where are those kids? That didn't happen during the Trump administration. That happened during the Biden-Harris administration. And so when you look at all of this coming down, you must realize that accuracy when it comes to any of this, especially coming from Kamala Harris of the Biden-Harris administration, is suspect at the very least. There's also something else that we need to keep in mind. We've talked an awful lot about deep state action against Donald Trump. ICE releasing this information on the day that Kamala Harris visits the southern border might be considered that as well, as we keep things fair on the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I'm John David Wells. Good morning. Did I say good morning? Good evening. I'm John David Wells. Well, the show skips around a little bit. The good news is my day job has been progressing beautifully, and my training period is just about done. And that means that I'll soon be working at a more regular schedule than what I've been doing. And the time of this broadcast may indeed change yet again. So make sure you like the notification buttons on the platform that you are watching on so that you know when the Wells Report is on the air. As we were discussing before the break, there were incredibly damaging statistics on criminals in the United States that are not being detained by ICE, that involve murderers and sex criminals and all kinds of people, burglary, assault, kidnapping, etc. And it was very damaging information. And yeah, I did opine that indeed, when it comes to the deep state interfering in American elections, does this look like interference of that nature? Perhaps it does. Don't know that ICE has been co-opted by the executive branch idea that American law can be used against political candidates. But it has to be pointed out that this could very much be very similar to the things we've seen arrayed against President Donald Trump. So let's keep that in mind as we continue watching this particular report from the sheriff of Pinal County in Arizona, talking about the visit in less than flattering terms. This from Fox News. It's biased. Take a look.
Mark Lamenow, Sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona. Sheriff, thank you very much for joining us. This is obviously huge news. People at home probably are saying, we knew this was happening, but now the numbers are here to back it up. Your reaction to these staggering numbers, 13,000 convicted murderers are right here in the United States.
Yeah, these numbers are staggering, even for somebody like myself who has been talking about this very issue for a long time. Just to put it in perspective, Border Patrol typically averages about 20 to 40,000 apprehensions a year with people who have been convicted of crimes or wanted for crimes here in America, sent back to countries, and now they're trying to come back in. Now, Border Patrol turns those people over to ICE, and what ICE does with them has always been a question. Now we're seeing with these numbers that ICE is actually releasing these people into the public. I'll take it a step further. I am a 287G jail, which means when somebody is arrested in my county that is in this country illegally, we work with ICE on that. Under the previous administration, President Trump's administration, 8 of 10 of them, ICE would come pick them up. Now, I'd be surprised if they pick any of them up. And that means that we're forced to release these folks back into the communities as criminals. So while these numbers are more staggering than even I thought, these aren't. This issue is not benign to me.
Ron Vitello joined us last hour, and he talked about the threat that this is to every American. Listen.
There are people walking among us in almost every single city and town in the United States who were not invited here, that jumped the wall and came into the United States illegally and are plying their trade as a cartel member, as a gangster of some other kind, of someone who's abusing children or trafficking other human beings. And that's what happens when sanctuary cities conflate with a chaotic border. We are all at risk.
That's because that's what we're seeing happen right now, right, Sheriff?
That's exactly it. When we failed to secure the border, this is why we talk about it so much. And this is why this is the #1 issue for voters. This is exactly why Kamala Harris is trying to do damage control. After 3.5 years of being the person in charge, she now understands she has to do something about it. Now she's going to, this is 100% political. I'm glad she's going. We've been asking her to come for 3.5 years, but this is political. And I think she's a day late and a dollar short. And the American people should hold this administration accountable for their failure, because they truly have put American lives at risk every day with their failure to secure the border.
All right. So obviously this is something that is being played for politics on both sides. Kamala Harris obviously playing politics, going down to the border. It is something that she should have done long ago, in many people's opinions, including this reporter. But she did go down there, and what's also important is that these people have been suffering for a very, very long time. It's fascinating to me to see how Ms. Harris, who's obviously doing this for political reasons, it's a presidential campaign. That is part and parcel of what we deal with. But it's fascinating to me to see the willingness to blame Donald Trump for these ills. And they've been in power for 3.5 years, even close to 4 years. So just exactly why is Donald Trump in the conversation when it comes to what's happening at the southern border, especially coming from the so-called border czar? What is the benefit here? On a purely opinionated note, I'm not exactly sure this was a good idea for Kamala Harris. She must have known it would be a lightning rod for partisan politics played from the other side. And that's indeed what we have seen. But as this unfolds, I keep watching the Kamala Harris campaign doing things that are not constructive and certainly not moving the ball forward when it comes to any of this. And this idea that you can blame Donald Trump after 3.5 years of what has been border inaction is something that has to be pointed out. Further, her comments earlier today on this broadcast regarding fentanyl, inexcusable. Inexcusable. Over 250 million Americans have died of opioid poisoning, much of it coming across the southern border, if not all of it. Fentanyl is a part of the American lexicon. It is part of what we deal with. Children being lost. President Biden, during the break, I was going through posts on X. And President Biden is continuing to talk about gun violence being the number one killer of children. I'm not exactly sure that's true, especially when you consider how much fentanyl death has visited American children during his administration. I asked him if he knew how many kids had died of fentanyl poisoning and asked him, do you even know? We'll see if he answers. I doubt very sincerely he will. I doubt very sincerely he wrote the X post. It was written by people in the administration. And so do we have anybody connected to the border? It doesn't appear so. Kamala Harris immediately voiced the blame on President Trump, who's been out of power for 3.5 years. So at some point, reality has got to hit. At some point, people have to say, okay, wait a minute. Now, are we at that point? I don't know. I don't have any idea. I am disturbed that ICE would put this report of these criminals out today. I am surprised. Actually, I said I'm surprised. Maybe I'm not. Because the deep state works both directions, apparently. We've seen far more deleterious attacks against President Trump from the deep state. And ICE is perhaps trying to have it both ways. They are responsible for moving these people out of the country. Yes, they have returned or expelled some 890,000 of these people, but 662,566 non-citizens with criminal histories, both having interacted with ICE and are also on a docket of people that are just out in the wild. Nantucket, a convicted criminal in his own country claiming asylum here in the United States, is guilty of sex crimes. And that's just another one. It also points out this. Many people say, wait a minute, these migrants have a lower crime rate than Americans. Not that that's relevant at any level. It's not relevant. The people that commit crimes in the United States that are citizens are at least part of this country. These people who have crashed the gate, jumped the border, and commit crimes in our nation have been invited here by sanctuary cities and by an administration who simply has not moved to do anything about these criminals coming across our border. Rather they would say that Donald Trump stopped a border bill, which was flawed, that would have allowed millions of people to continue coming across the border, and it would have been codified by law. No, I just don't think this holds water. I could be wrong. My telephone number, 817-379-2172. If you have something that is exculpatory when it comes to Kamala Harris, please by all means share it. 817-379-2172. We would very much be interested in what you would have to say. We also spoke yesterday about the New York Times seeming to turn on Kamala Harris. This is from Fox News. A New York Times report admitted yesterday that televised interviews are a major weakness for Vice President Kamala Harris. In a piece titled "Harris Has a Lot of Strengths, Giving Interviews is Not One of Them," Times national politics reporter Rebecca Davis O'Brien gave Harris credit for her debating and campaigning skills. However, she went on to write that, quote, "one-on-one televised interviews with journalists have long been a weakness in her political arsenal. She often winds her way slowly towards an answer, leaning on jargon and rehearsed turns of phrase, using language that is sometimes derided as word salad, but might better be described as a meringue, as in lemon meringue pie, the fuzz at the top of the pie itself." Harris has an uneven history when it comes to unscripted media appearances, which she has largely avoided since becoming the Democrat presidential nominee. The avoidance was said by O'Brien to be a calculation by her campaign to shield her from the risks of a primetime spotlight. She described a nervousness that is palpable from the moment Ms. Harris takes her seat across from an interviewer, looking as if she were bracing for hostile cross-examination from the witness stand. O'Brien from the New York Times pointed out that Harris' time as a prosecutor on the Senate Judiciary Committee as a culprit, arguing that while those experiences prepared her to be the one asking difficult questions in high-stakes exchanges, she has less experience on the other side of that microphone. She then quoted Dan Moraine, a California-based journalist who covered Harris's career and wrote a biography about her in 2020. Quote, "She can be very engaging, very quick. She's witty, a lot of eye contact. She was well briefed. She knew the issues. She was very good at answering questions, very good at not answering questions as well." He also mentioned that Harris did not go out of her way to speak to the press and assumed this would not change, asking, why would she take the risk? I can answer that question. She could take the risk because, and she should, because she's running for the presidency of the United States. You simply have to do these things. And she is not doing these things. And what does that leave us with? It leaves us scratching our heads. It leaves us ignoring the realities of what she says, what she has said, and what she might say tomorrow in favor of, I'm just going to vote for her anyway. Time for a change. Well, considering Joe Biden and his mental capabilities, just how much change is Kamala Harris going to be able to give to the American people, especially considering that she has been in power over 3.5 years? These are questions that need to be discussed, and they need to be discussed fairly and evenly and honestly, because this woman is running for the presidency of the United States. And these are things that must be done. And so when I look at all of this, I simply wonder just exactly what the aims of the Harris campaign, what their aims are. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to do with this person? I opined a while back. I said, this is the most progressive presidential ticket in American history. Progressive read socialist, read communist, read Marxist. But when you start thinking about all this, is this an opportunity for the Democrat Party to essentially launch the progressives within that party, especially those in the House of Representatives and indeed the Senate. Is this a way to say, well, that failed? Maybe they have decided in Kamala Harris who they want to lose the 2024 election. It is a possibility. Is it real? I don't know. Again, as we continue speaking about this, let's indeed interact. Let's not argue. And let's look at fact. Let's look at the realities of what we're dealing with here and make a decision based on that reality, as opposed to just a stubborn willingness to vote for anybody besides Donald Trump. This is the Wells Report. That's what I'm thinking. How about you? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. More of the Wells Report in just a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. The next political thing that's going to happen in the campaign season of 2024 will be a vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance, the Republican, and Tim Walz, the Democrat. It will be on CBS. And there are rules that are different from the other debates that we've seen, the last couple of debates involving the presidents. The microphones of J.D. Vance and Tim Walz will remain live. This happening during the vice presidential debate, even when it is their opponent's turn to speak. This according to debate rules released today by CBS News and agreed to by both campaigns. But, and this is a problem, CBS News will reserve the right to turn off the candidates' microphones if the moderators find it necessary, which means that's going to be a subjective decision being made by CBS News. As we've seen with the ABC News debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, that can be problematic for the credibility of the news organization responsible. So when you're in a position where you have the right to turn off the candidates' microphones, I'm hoping they mean that they will turn off both of them to stop a food fight. But in that food fight, what will be said and by whom? Just exactly what will trigger the mics being turned off? Again, a subjective decision by those involved in the editorial process of CBS News. That's a mistake by CBS. What they should have done is they should have said if microphones were going to be turned off at any possible point, then it would be while the candidates were not speaking. That's how it's actually been good. I am not interested in bickering. I've said this constantly on the Wells Report since its inception on 9/11/2001, that arguments are boring. And listening to two guys argue is a mess. So I don't know exactly how they're going to do that. I know that Nora O'Donnell, and these are people that you know, Nora O'Donnell and Face of the Nation. By the way, Nora O'Donnell is the outgoing CBS News anchor on the CBS News night broadcast. And Nora O'Donnell will be joined by Margaret Brennan to moderate the debate. Will they be more fair than the ABC moderators? Remains to be seen. We know that ABC experienced a serious erosion in their ratings after the debate, which would be the direct opposite you would expect, but that kind of shows you that maybe the idea of anti-conservative, anti-Republican news coverage is just about at the end of its course, because people are beginning to react negatively. Look, the way you do it is simple. You simply report the facts. You report the facts. You ask questions to clarify, not to debate or not to argue. And you let the people decide what's being said and by whom and what the actual political effect is. The idea that the lack of civility between the political candidates that we see debate, the idea that these people would not let their opponents speak, is just plain rude. Just plain rude. I say that, but I also point out that there have been presidential candidates who did not engage in these food fights that damaged their campaigns. They were civil, they were polite, and they got run over. So how's that going to work? Doubtless, we will see more of this clarified as the debate ensues. It's going to be 9 p.m. Tuesday, October 1st. It'll be 90 minutes, two breaks of a few minutes. And no, it will just like the presidential debate, there will be no live audience, which is also something that I think is good. The VP debate will feature only Vance, Waltz, and two moderators. All questions will come from the moderators, who will introduce Waltz first as the vice presidential nominee of the incumbent party. Historically, the two VP nominees are seated for vice presidential debates, but in a shakeup from precedent, Vance and Waltz will be standing behind podiums with the two moderators being seated. Waltz will be positioned on the right side of the television screen. Vance will be on the left side. The candidates who will be asked a question will receive 2 minutes to answer, and the other candidate will receive 2 minutes to respond. Hopefully, they will extend the basic manners of listening to their opponents instead of trying to interrupt. That's what notepads are for. And perhaps a 1-minute rebuttal from both candidates would be a good idea. So there it is. It'll be next Tuesday. It'll be 90 minutes. It'll be on CBS. And we'll see if it's going to be valuable to either of the candidates or whether it will be a gigantic mess. And there you have it, the news of the day on Fishing Shirt Friday from the Wells Report. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. And if you find value in it, share it with your friends. Subscribe to it. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. It's important that you hit the notification bell because the show, as you've seen in the past few weeks, moves a bit. Until Monday, God bless you and yours. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you for another edition of the Wells Report in a couple of days. Until then, be safe. Make good decisions. Thank you for being with us tonight. And that's that. Have a great weekend.